chatter. Sorry. Oh, did it go? It looks like it is now, right? Because that little dot.
It shows it's recording for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon. Today is November 4th. It is 10, just a little after 10 in the morning, Eastern time zone in the United States. Our topic today is delivery configuration. This is the Primo V Become an Expert series. My name is Jenny Draeger. Used to be Jenny Forbes, so some people on here recognize me. A training services consultant with Ex Libris, and Lori LaRose is here also with me from from support. And so she's going to help answer your questions. Keep an eye on the chat. We kind of work as a team in these sessions. This is our agenda for today. We're going to be talking about, so last week we were talking about discovery services, and now we're talking about delivery services. So the topic today is about getting everything to your users, your borrowers, whether it's to their screens, to their hands, to their eyeballs, in whatever format they go there. And so we're going to be talking about the delivery services that are available through Primo V. We're going to be talking about discovery interface display logic. That's how you can control what options are shown and make conditional kind of rules as to what shows, as to not overwhelm or direct your users exactly where you want them to go. I'm talking about holding and item displays, the details from holding record and item records that can show in Primo V if desired, and then also talk about request forms. So we're starting with Primo V delivery services. And then, so delivery services refer to the services patrons will be using to access resources. And it depends on the type of inventory. There's 3 different methods of delivery: view it, get it, and how to get it. So view it, what we're talking about there is the services that allow users to access and display electronic and digital inventory. The view it menu can include links to access full text content. These links might be direct links to content or a list of open URL links. You can view it can also include database services, general electronic services that the library chooses to define, like document delivery, ILL, and delivery services for digital representations if you are an Alma digital customer. Get it, when we're talking about that, we're talking about physical inventory that you have in Alma. The Get It menu includes availability information for the item. Is it on shelf? Is it not? Where can it be found? So your location, your call, all that kind of information. It can also include request options: hold requests, booking requests, digitization requests, purchase requests, resource sharing, and general electronic services set up by the library. So, of course, you don't have to offer, all these services. You might offer some today. You might grow into more, and that's just fine. You can, Alma can change as you change your offerings, your workflows. And then how to get it, that menu appears only when the record has no inventory attached to it, or if the exact inventory can't be displayed in the availability statement. For example, if the brief result is for a physical journal, it's going to show check holdings. That's the phrase out of the box to let users know they can see the issues the library holds in the full record display. So all those items, they might not be available. Some might be checked out. So it's saying, hey, take one more step to get that information. Another example of this is for, like, if you're searching WorldCat here through Primo, the availability statement for these is always check for available services. When the full record is open, the system then calculates and displays availability status for those items. How to get it also allows users to select other options to get these items, like resource sharing services, request options, other purchase request options. So let's go take a look in Primo and see what these look like. Okay, so I'm going to do an advanced search. I'm going to search just the library catalog, and I'm doing kind of a generic birds, but I want to limit these to books, and I'm going to end up using a facet to limit to online books, ebooks. So I did my search, library catalog, birds, material type books, and I do have plenty of books here, but if I limit this down to available online, the one I want is still, so here we go. So right here on the top, this is available, or the second one here, available online. Why Birds Sing, A Journey into the Mystery of Birdsong. So I can see the statement here that says available online. So that's that, view it, not get it. And if I come in here in more detail, I still see that same, this is still the brief view up here that you see. And then down here is your online access. So this is the view it link. We get this through EBSCO. I click on this and I get to this ebook. If I scroll down a little bit, I can see where this record came from. It came from the library catalog. So this is an ebook that's in Alma. So it's probably part of a collection. It's might be coming from the community zone. It might be local, but I noticed, like, look at this, this 505, this table of contents. Woo, that needs tidying up. And I need to see if I can do that in my, if that's in Alma or the community zone. I'm not sure. Let me check. I'll have to check that. So that's one example. Another example is I'm going to change this to articles, and I'm going to search articles. So that means I'm searching the Central Discovery Index. My material type is articles. And there's this particular article I want. So let me change this search a little bit, because this was a little farther down than I wanted. Insectivorous birds. Okay. So the one I want to, this one, declines in insectivorous birds associated with high, and so on. So again, this is an article. It's available online. So this is that view it availability statement. But if I come in here and I come down here, you see there's a whole list of, so this is out of Nature, that journal. And we get Nature through a lot of different electronic collections. So there's a lot of portfolios of Nature in my environment. And I can see a whole long list of resources. So I'm going to show you how you can shorten this list down, because your users might go, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff? Now, clicking any one of these is going to get us to the same content. And you may not want to present all of these options. Just keep it a nice short list, and to just ease confusion. Okay, now I also want to show you what if you have digital, if you are Alma Digital. I'm going to go back to search library catalogs if you do have Alma Digital in your environment. Again, limiting to birds, and I'm just going to search birds, and I'm going to limit my material type here to images in the advanced search. And so I just have one record here in my environment. Now, if I click on this, I'm seeing it's available online, so it's a view it. And when I come in here, now we have two different viewers set up in this environment. So one is the Alma viewer and one is the universal viewer. So it's still the same content. It's just using two different mechanisms to display the images. Now, I haven't logged into Primo for any of these examples, so I haven't seen those additional services, and we're going to see those a little bit later. For this, like the permission level at the representation is set in Alma to say if someone isn't signed in, they can't see this image. So that's why I'm getting you do not have permission to view this object. Once I sign in, now depending on the permission set at that representation level, you know, I might get to see it, I might not. This one is set to show, as long as Primo knows who I am, show the image, but you can even limit those down to specific populations in your environment as well. So again, this record is in the library catalog, so that metadata record, the inventory, etc. So let's take a look at a physical search, and I'm going to go library catalog. Let's limit this to books again. But I'm not searching Central Discovery Index. I'm searching the library catalog, and I could limit this down to held by library. But let me do that because I think I might have a couple to look at here. So one I'm looking at is this very first result: birds, a guide to the most familiar American birds. This is the get it statement. Get it because it's physical, so you could get it for me. I could get this off the shelf. I could see my library, my location, the availability statement. It is available. It's sitting on the shelf. You come in and you see a little bit more information. You could get this is the information out of the item record. I could have additional, we'll show the holdings with a journal instead of a book. But this is where that item information is and what comes out of the box, and then you can also add additional fields here. So whatever you want to do is fine. And then I want to show you, there's one more, birds in the sky. So this one I have 2 holdings, one in the main library and one somewhere else, 2 different libraries. And so you can see, here's my availability statement. I come in here to look at this, and you can see I have it in the main library and science library. You know, there's just not all the room up there, but those same options. And then seeing the items and seeing that additional data. Let's go to library search. Music. Oops. Oh my gosh, there we go. I'm searching here for this journal of Music, Technology, and Education. And now this is that one that says check holdings. So at this point, Primo isn't making any promises. So if I click on this, but I could see it does live in the music library in the location of music periodicals. This is a physical holdings, but you could see, oh, it's turned on in the CDI, and the articles are indexed in the CDI, so you could still do that search out there, even though you would need to get the physical access from the library. And so that may be available, check for availability kind of statement. And I can see 3 of these are on the shelf, but 1 of them is not. And so that's why you have that availability statement that says maybe or check. Because when you get in here to the items, you can see specifically which issue you may be looking for. Okay, so those are the different delivery options you have coming out of Primo. Now let's go and talk about that discovery interface display logic. So how you could control what shows up, add those conditions, get through that. There we go. So discovery interface display logic. So specifically the view it and get it menus is where we're concerned. So the view it menu can include links to access open access resources, selected full text resources, database services, general electronic services, delivery services for digital representations. The get it menu, that can include links for booking and digitization requests. So these up here, purchase requests, hold requests, other general electronic services that have been set up, resource sharing requests. There are a lot of options here, and so you may not want to display all possible services under all circumstances, but you can build display logic rules. Admittedly, in these training databases, we don't limit down a lot because I kind of always like to show what the options are, but this is where you can set conditions in your real life environment to say, don't show that because like, we're not going to go get this. We're not going to allow resource sharing if it's sitting on the shelf, you know, or there's full text access. You know, we don't need to offer that service at that point. So these are highly configurable and they're within your control. So here's just an example of the get it, this list of menu options. There's that brief availability statement and then the options. And then view it. There's just that long list, and I'm going to show you how to set conditions. So if you don't want to present this big long list of potential links that all go to the same place, you can set conditions on your, you know, with Primo, you can prefer the vendors you want or the delivery services you want. That makes no matter to us. Okay. Out of here. Go back over to Alma. So where we're going to be spending some time is in the configuration menu. We're going to be spending time under fulfillment and discovery, but a lot of our time here will be spent under fulfillment. And then you see this discovery interface display logic section. So the display logic rules, they come in here. Now we have a number of rules set up. Not all of them are enabled. And this is something that you might find yourself massaging, changing, whatever the circumstances deem necessary. Now this very first example, it says for user groups alumni, hide service booking requests if exists serving service booking requests. So we're saying for this particular user group, we're not going to offer this service. Now, in this example, it's alumni and booking requests. So whatever the service is and the user group, you know, that could be anything, but just you're saying for this particular segment of our users, and this could have more than one user group up here that, you know, you're not limited to one here. Hide this service if Primo says we offer it. Here's another one. Hide service purchase request, resource sharing request if you can place a hold on it. So if it's sitting on the shelf, don't offer. So if Primo determines that you can place a hold a hold on this item. So the institution obviously has access to this physical item. Do not present the purchase request or the resource sharing request options for these items. And I also like to point out this one here, because this next ones, they've really determined, they depend on what your local policy would be. So this next one, hide resource sharing or request if your institution owns the item. So is your policy, if your library owns this item, you won't go get a resource sharing request. And that's it's not an uncommon workflow, but you could also say hide resource sharing request if availability equals true. So is that if it's checked out, not available, is your policy that you will go do a resource sharing request, or no, place a hold, wait till the material comes back? So this one is determined based on availability, not ownership. So you have that flexibility to make Alma do that work for you and interpret, carry out the wishes based on your local policies. So hide service purchase request, what's that one? Edit. There's no conditions. It's also not enabled. So we do want to show that purchase request. So there's a couple of specific ones I want to show. I'm gonna create a couple of rules here. Specifically, let's say you want to streamline that long list of links from various vendors that might appear in the View It or Online Access section. So we could do this a couple different ways. One thing you might say, if Gale has links to the full text, I don't want to show EBSCO. Okay, so how do we do that? We add a new rule, and you don't have to have a condition for user groups. You could, if it's for everyone, just don't put anyone in the user groups. And I want to hide the service full text. As long as the interface, and I can say EBSCO, EBSCO, EBSCO. So I could say, if it's any of these interfaces, if we have full text from Gale, Gale, Gale. So this is saying if the link is presented through the Gale interface, don't show the interfaces from EBSCO. And that'll just help limit down those results. Another method that doesn't involve choosing one vendor over another, though, would be to hide particular electronic collections if another electronic collection is in the list. There are certain collections. Let me do this. Let me just add a rule here. So we still want to hide full text service, but instead of interface, our condition is going to be on electronic collection. And let's say if the collection is Taylor and Francis, geography or education, hide those if I can get full text through like my big Taylor and Francis collection, Taylor and Francis complete. So in other words, if my searcher, my borrower ends up on this screen, they're only going to see one Taylor and Francis. So if a title appears in if in education or geography, let's say there's a title that's in all three, education, geography, collection, that would present those three links in Primo. So this will present only one Taylor and Francis ebooks complete. Just keeps that list tidier. These rules are applied immediately. So if I go into Discovery, I definitely want to refresh my screen, maybe refresh my browser, and you'll see those changes right away. Something else to be concerned with, the order of these. When that availability statement is calculated and the view it, get it options are there, Alma goes down this list in order. So you might be finding yourself moving things around. And now this one, you don't do the bump up, bump down. You just drag things up and down. So it's a little different. Because also what happens, this is just like in fulfillment units and such, Alma's going to go down this list, and as soon as there's a hook, it's going to do that one and drop the rest. Okay. So if you're not, if you set these up and you're not seeing the behavior that you expect, come back here, readjust the list, clear your cache, you know, get a new browser, you know, close your tab, reopen it, those kinds of settings. So those are our those logic rules. So general electronic services, what these are links that your library can define to provide access to library functions and resources. And these can appear in View It, Get It, or Links sections. So in the View It and Get It, you might see interlibrary loan services, searching for an item in Google Scholar, books in print, Amazon, librarian services, any other types of things like that. So they can show up here, they can show up here. Now let's go take a look at where these are configured. And we're back here in configuration, still under fulfillment. And we're going down to the general electronic services. Here we go. So we're going to look at the one, this Amazon one. You can see this service is active. But how is this set up? So I have it's set to active. This is just a drop down. Got a code, it's got a name. Here's the service description. We're linking via ISBN or ISSN. There's a public name that shows in Primo V. Is this a document delivery service? No. Our next one will be, and we'll see additional choices we need to make. So we do need this URL. You need to be familiar with the syntax of the service and its URL. And you could see, if you click on this, Amazon, we're going to go to this link and it's going to look for an ISBN or an ISSN in the record and then pull that resource up in Amazon. So enable without login means, will you show this to the public if Primo doesn't know who this is? And it's set to yes. Do I ever want to disable the service? So there are conditions to where you can disable the service. And I say, no, I don't want to disable the service. Anyone can see this, anyone can click. Now there are still some conditions to where this might not show. And it is, what if there isn't an ISBN or an ISSN? So if the metadata record doesn't have one of those pieces of data, then we're not going to see that link because the search won't be successful. So RFT ISBN is not empty, then show it. Edit. No, the ISSN is not empty, show it. And then the default rule, don't show it. So we have to meet these conditions. Now, another one I want to show you is this Iliad rule. So we have an Iliad for articles and journals and then a separate one for books. So let's look at the articles and journals ones. And you see how where is this going to display in links? This is going to display in get it and how to get it. So you're controlling that here as well. So again, active, it's got a name, it's got a description, it's got a public name. Is this a document delivery ILL service? Yes. Where do you want it to display? So you choose. And then here's that syntax again, looking for specific information to be able to go over to Iliad, execute the search, and try to locate the resource. Enable without login? No. This is where, remember how the service doesn't show until I log in. So Primo needs to know who you are before it's going to present this option. Will you do this at an item level? No. Do you ever want to disable the service? Yes. I don't want to show it. Now look at, here's this availability versus ownership thing again that would determine on your local policies. If what if the resource is owned and available? But in this case, if it's owned but not available, this Primo is set to show the option to offer to get this if it's not on shelf. And then if you're using campuses, you can also set, not everyone has campuses. So that's just how you've set up your institution in Alma. If you have campuses, you know, and if you don't, you would just use these settings down here. And again, any rules for the availability. Now this one, remember, this is the rule for articles and journals, where the other Iliad is the one for books. So if article equals true or journal equals true, then we're going to show this service. If it's not an article or journal, we're not going to show this service. Okay, let's go back here to get my cursor in the right spot. Direct linking. So direct linking in Primo refers to the ability to configure the way this available online link works. Without direct linking, if it's completely disabled, if you click on this, you're always going to go to that full record, this online access screen. If direct linking is available, and let's say there's only one service available down here. So if online, I'm sorry, if direct linking in it is enabled and there's only one service here, when you click this online, available online, it's going to take you directly to the article, ebook, whatever. Now, if there are multiple lines down here, you determine if that link is going to bring you here or take you to the first one in the list. So let's go look at those options and see what they are. So again, I'm in fulfillment, discovery, direct linking. So this is just a simple click. Do you want to enable direct linking? Yes. I do not have enable direct linking when multiple services are available checked right now. You could also disable direct linking if there are, again, a condition. What if there's an authentication note? What if there's a public note? What if, do you want to disable it for electronic collections, for journals, for direct linking for digital resources? So let's come back here. Let me do, so one of my colleagues the other day did this search and it just made me laugh. Bubble. Oh, I like that. Bubble. That's going to be my search. So I did a search here in articles. And okay, so this one, role of the bubble interaction on radial pulsations of bubbles. So if I click available online, this is bringing me directly to the article. Now, if I come in here and click this, it is the only way to get there. Only one portfolio, for ultrasonic sonochemistry. Now this one, my other one like disappeared. I had one yesterday and it kind of disappeared. See if that one, okay, this will be a good one. So bursting bubble aerosols. If I click this available online, it brings me to the full record because I don't have this box checked. But if I check this box and save it, close these. Now let me refresh bursting bubble aerosols. That's what we're doing. Okay, so now that I've changed that and I click available online, now this is bringing me to the ProQuest login because that was the first one in the list. So remember that, and this doesn't know who I am coming from my home. So the order here matters as to what the behavior and what your users will experience. Okay, so that is that direct linking. And remember, these decisions you make aren't terminal. You might enable it, you might disable it. Maybe you like that, disable it if there's that authentication note. See what works in your environment. Last week we were talking about related records. And so this is those preceding, succeeding titles, using the 760 and 780 tags out of Mark records. And so we can talk about how that is configured. But come in here, fulfillment, related records. So you have different configurations for the view it versus get it. So our electronic versus physical. Do you want to enable related record services? Yes or not? Display if full text is available. Display for serials. We're not doing them for monographs. Are we deduplicating electronic collection services? Are we enabling direct link for related services? And when you get down to get it, kind of some similar options. Come on, clicky. I'm trying to get a link to pop up here. There we go. And this is, I'm going to share this link with you. This is talking about the MARC tags that control these related records. Let me send this to everyone. And I've shared this link with you before. But this is what Alma's using to determine these settings. Remember, we don't write the rules. we follow the industry standards. Okay, let's look at holding and item displays now. So out of the box, Primo V displays the following holdings fields in the get it service of a record's full display. So these are coming out of the holding record. The 866 A and Z, the 867 A and Z for supplements, and then the notes coming out of the 852Z. So those, if there's data in those fields, that's what comes out of the box. And here's an example of that. For items, The brief item display opens instantly and it'll open 4 lines, up to 4 lines. Out of the box, it displays the status, terms of use, and the item's description on separate display lines if available for the item. And I know a lot of people, they don't like that terms of use showing because it can be kind of confusing. So you could just turn it off. That's not a big deal. But then you can configure, so you could configure these 4 lines, and each line can display up to 3 different fields, which are separated by your choice of delimiter. But then when you go to the full display and you see that drop-down arrow, you can have additional information that shows. Out of the box, Primo shows an additional call number, public notes, material type, and location, which includes the library location and call fields. And the barcode on a separate display lines if available for the item. Now this section can have up to 12 display lines, and each line can contain up to 3 fields, which are separated by a space. So again, you've got plenty of options if there's item information you want to show to the world. So there's 2 tables involved with configuring this. So let's get back here to Alma. This one's under Discovery, Get It Config. Now there's one here called Holding Display Labels and Holding Display Configuration. Now, if you go into your environment and you don't see these, there's something you need to toggle. And what it is, it's under Fulfillment, General, under Other Settings. Okay, it's this one. uResolver, enable Get It Holdings configuration. Out of the box, this is set to false. And you just need to come in here, edit this and set it to true, save the change. Now, when I did this in this environment, I did this, I saved it, I went back, and the items didn't appear under this menu until and I don't know if this was just a fluke. It might have also been me being very impatient. I logged out of Alma and came back in and they showed up. So typically you don't have to do that. Like I said, I may have just been being impatient earlier this week. So I just want to make sure. So if you don't see those, it's not a roles thing. It might be that toggle that you need to change. So let's look at holding display labels and then holding display configuration. So let's look at the labels first. So these are the labels that are set up out of the box. This is the holdings, the supplement, the notes, those out of the box ones that are turned on. We do have some additional labels enabled, turned on. So a binding note, source of acquisition, ownership, custodial history, indexes, and you can even add more. Add a code, add a description. Is it a default value? And you can adjust these, adjust the order of them. So once you have the labels set up here, then I can go to configuration. Now the only labels that are set up out of the box, that 866 A and Z, 867 A and Z, and 852 Z. So holding, supplement, and note. Now these additional ones are here. You can choose to enable them. No problem. You just go ahead and make those changes. Save the changes. You can delete them. You can add additional ones. If you've added new labels, You know, you can add additional rows here. If you want to change the label that shows, you can do that too. I guess you do that back on the labels and then choose it here on the customization, on the display. So the item display is also here under discovery. Item display config. Now you have your brief section and your full section. So here's our brief. And now, so I'm seeing an item status and a queue. So if there's, you know, a whole, you know, list of holds, and I can add an additional third field if I want from this, the options listed here. But this did allow up to 3. So terms of use, it only is terms of use. I could add something else. So we only have three of the 4 lines enabled here or configured here. And then that full item display, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines total out of, you could have up to 12, and each one can have up to 3 elements. And same thing where I would just come in here if I want to make my change, edit, you know, add another field. So, you know, and I'm not a big fan of looking for trouble. I'm more of a fan of saying, is there something missing? Is there something that, you know, with your reference staff, are they, you know, getting certain questions, or are they seeing information that would be helpful to the public that they would like to see in the public catalog? But they also might not realize it can be there. So. Okay, so that was our item display, holding display. So let's now talk about request forms. So Alma enables users to fill out various request forms so they can provide additional information when requesting an item with the full display or the services page in Primo V. The displayed request types are based on the inventory type of the record and the display logic rules. Selecting the request link or the booking request and the booking request type shows a booking request form. See how this could be either a request or a booking. So when it's a booking, you're checking availability, you're putting in, you know, the amount of time you need the resource. And then this is sent to the request and the library handles it. It's also possible to create links in the main menu that opens up blank request forms for resource sharing and purchase requests. Let's go into Alma and see how these are configured. Okay, oops. There we go. I just lost my spot. Okay. So I'm back here. Get out, close, back in Alma. Config. This is under discovery, under get it. So here's a digitization request. Maybe your library offers digitization. Now holded booking here is merged, but if you don't offer booking, you still set it up here, and the booking wouldn't appear as long as you don't have that configured. So if I look at a digitization request, any of these, we are saying which fields in the form do we want to display to the public? So it's just a quick toggle. So that was digitization. Come on, let's get back in here. Config, discovery, hold and booking. So the comment field is open, material type, not need after, terms of use. You know, do you want to show that or not? That can, I think that's a little confusing out there, personally. Chapter, article, author. So if the data, remember, if the data is in the metadata record, it's going to pull it into the request form for you. Let's go look at purchase. I do also want to show you purchase request. So again, here's our, what do you want to show to people? Now, now this hasn't been customized yet. If I do want to customize it, come on. Purchase. There we go. What? No. Which one did I go into? Discovery, purchase request. There we go. So once you click customize, then you can start to choose the options. For resource sharing requests, again, if you haven't changed anything, you would have to click customize up here to open this up. Now, if I click restore, it goes back to the out of the box settings. So with this resource sharing form, you see another column called mandatory. So owner and citation type, those are visible, not mandatory. Title, author are mandatory and visible. Edition, ISBN, you know, if you have the information, fill it in, but not mandatory. Pub date, pub place, same thing. So these are for book requests. And then there is a separate settings for article requests as to what you want to show and then what you want to make mandatory. And the last section on here is delivery fields. What format should it be? Now you can set a default. We prefer that it's, and then the user could change a different, you know, select a different one. So this has a copyright. I have to click a copyright agreement. It's the only mandatory field I have to click before I submit my request. Okay, I'm going to click cancel. I don't want to really change that too much. Okay, so that's all the content I have. In the PowerPoint, I do have some links out to documentation. I saw there was a bunch of chat going on, but I intentionally kind of had my window small so it wouldn't distract me. Lori, is there anything we need to go back and cover? Trying to drag my window down here.
Yeah, there were a number of questions about specific questions about what could be done with display logic rules.
Okay. I'm having a hard time using my giant mouse cursor to drag this window down. It's hard to do precise work with these. I'm sorry. Oh, I can't read them right now. Darn it. Can you read them? I just,
Yeah, there was, I'm sorry, did you say you couldn't see the chat?
I can't because I have this giant mouse and I can't, I'm trying to grab the bottom of the chat window and drag it. Oh, I got it. Oh, hold on. It's hard to do precise stuff with this giant mouse. It's like working with Hulk hands.
Yeah, let me read out the questions then. Is
Okay.
there a way to find a collection if any other full text is available? Or do you have to pick something from the other available?
Well, like when you set up those conditions, you can add a lot. I don't know what the max is. Um, so that was fulfillment, no, config, fulfillment, display logic. So if I add a rule, because like if you say like they want to prefer like a collection over everything else,
Yes.
because down here you would say, so here's like, you know, those ginormous collections that you know you do, like the ProQuest and EBSCO has those giant ones. I mean, you could have a long list up here. Um, you know, so that I just don't know what the max is up here, and I've never tried it. I mean, depending on this is a lot of stuff. And I'm only, you know, I'm in this test database. I don't know how big the customer is who's asking for this. So long story short, yeah, you could put it in there. Is it necessary? Yeah, I don't know. You know your collections. There might be some that are a little more generic and more specialized, and not bothering to put those specialized ones in there. And you remember, you could always, because you could limit it down, but remember because these go in order too. So once it hooks on one, it's not like it keeps going. So test it out.
Another question was, is there a way to limit showing Iliad by library?
Let's go. Where was that? Was it General Electronic Services? Iliad, edit. Yep. So do you, like, if they have separate Iliad accounts? So yes.
I believe that was the last one, but I say if anyone has specific questions about what they can and cannot do or are not able to get something to work, just encourage you to open the support case to have support, us in support look into it in more detail.
And I'm still trying to work with my Hulk mouse. I had it for a second. Let's do this. Let's grab the top. There we go. Okay, I had to grab the top of the chat message. That was fun.
Okay, another question just came in. Is there a way to turn off quote mark snippets from the results page?
Like these things,
I believe that's what, yeah.
probably with CSS, maybe?
Yes, I don't believe either that there is a way to disable them with Primo configuration, and they would have to be disabled probably with CSS to be hidden.
Yeah, I'd give that a try. I know these have a lot of information coming at you. I like that we break this up into 12 sessions though. Much more bite-sized.
Another
If-
question.
Yeah.
Do you see it now?
If I want only one collection to show a specific user group, is there an easy way to select all the other collections to hide? If that one is available? So would that be? Ooh, let's see. Wait, this is not that one. That'd be back to display logic. One collection to show. You know what I would do with this question about I only want one collection to show to a specific user group? I'd make sure that number one, I'd make sure that collection is at the top of the results list, and I'd turn on direct linking. And I'd also say why. Because my job is to kind of push back a little bit and say, why do you want to do this? And I'd want to have that conversation. I mean, just instead of getting into a really convoluted, display logic rule, you could, but remember, most people are going to click on that top one. And so if you just have, limit to like one ProQuest, one EBSCO, one Gale, one Taylor and Francis, keep that list shorter and have that preferred collection at the top of the list. So if they do click on, and with the direct linking, if they do click on available online, boom, that's where they're going to go. What does it mean? Here's another one. What does it mean when the view it box is gray and empty? We have only full text turned on. I'd have to see that example. I'm one of those people. So like, there's nothing here. Is there any inventory? Okay. No physical inventory, but okay. So it's a title only. I have an example in here just because I was. Open. Okay, no physical inventory and electronic is blank. So I'd have to see that example to figure out what's going on. So for that one, open up a case with support because I don't have a firm grasp on the scenario you're presenting. Reordering collections in the results list. Oh gosh, how do we prefer that? I wonder if that's coming up. I haven't started working on next week's stuff yet. Let me take that question. How do I reorder the collections in the results list? Let me make sure, because I don't want to just start searching right now. Let me work on that and I'll make sure I cover it next week. Reorder, because we're talking about local data, but I can plug that in. Order. The view it, get it thing has always confused me. I get it backwards in my head. For a lot of years. One day I'll figure it out. I just have to remember, get it is physical. Okay. Yeah, let me double check that. I see there was a lot of chatter, a lot of good information, a lot of good questions coming in. Okay, let me grab this chat. I'm going to work on the Q&A for this week between my session yesterday and today. And we'll get those posted to the dashboard, and we'll, I don't see anything else coming in. We'll see you next week. And like I said, I believe our topic is local data. Yep, local data next week. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Lori.